Welcome to Tech at Lunch, the podcast that satisfies your hunger for all things tech while you enjoy your midday meal. So grab your sandwich, tune in, and let's dig in. Hello, I'm Nick.
Hey, I'm John.
Hello, I'm Ed.
And, this week we're going to, continue down that path we started last week with the cybersecurity and additive manufacturing. This week, we're going to go towards the mitigation strategies. Last week we talked about awareness. And, we learned that last week that, cybersecurity awareness is, everybody's job at this point. Make sure you're not downloading anything you shouldn't be downloading. Make sure your files are clean. And it just, basically protect the asset. And this week we're going to go a little bit more in depth on like mitigation strategies and kind of like, what we can do to mitigate the risks of, some of the stuff that, that could come about, ranging from, encryption to, whatever else we come up with.
Hey, most of it's encryption or some type of encryption.
Yeah. Let's talk about air gapping.
Yeah, that's true.
But, the thing is when we start talking to that, I guess, it's going to be one of those where, everybody's going to have a different idea and then we're going to kind of walk around the room and, see what kind of happens. But, what do y'all think?
Like I said before, like we talked about before, I think CIA, we talked about it before, confidentiality, basically what you want to do is segmentation. Segmentation should be the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I argue for segmentation because you have a DMZ somewhere. So your DMZ should stay your DMZ. Whatever the point of entrance is for, or your edge, whatever your edge is, should be separated from your actual home network.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing to do is to segment those two things. That way you have a DMZ for just getting out, and all it's for is getting out.
Yeah.
If you want to pull something in, you can pull something in, but not from that portion of the network. You pull it into the other portion of the network. And then a few other things that would probably be wise is probably set up some type of NOS. And the NOS should be basically getting rid of the USB stick. You do something that, hey, I can put all of my files here, and only these type of files are here. I only allow this type of file.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And I think that's probably a good place to start is segmentation.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I think the question then becomes like, it gets a little bit deeper because we were talking about cloud and stuff like that. But when you talk about physical data and files and hard drives and things like that, and then you talk about virtual and VMs and things like that. To me, it's different types of mitigation in those things. I agree with you. Like if there's a local machines, I can plug some things into that, and I'm trying to control my own network. You absolutely should segment. One of the
just all I'm saying is from the outside. So if you're using cable,
right,
or if you're using whatever type of annotated technology that's not cable, or if you're using a Wi-Fi spot,
right,
that Wi-Fi spot should not be the entrance point
so
to your actual network. Those two things need to be separated.
Right.
So basically, that becomes the firewall. That you have a firewall in between the DMZ zone and your actual home wireless network.
It's the use of a
segment the two
of an intranet. It's setting up an intranet.
That's what I meant.
For cybersecurity bouncers,
right.
If you will.
So pretty much what you do is you have an outside network. Like if you bring in, say you bring in an STL, for example, in from an outside network, so you bring in the first exclusion zone. The first exclusion zone, that's where I'm gonna scan it. I'm gonna run it through all of its scans, all this other stuff, and then once I confirm that hey, it's clean, I can move it over into the intranet. That's where my printer would be attached to, if it's network attached or anything like that, because it won't have any communication to like Yahoo or Google.
Exactly.
It would have communication to
whatever
the mini server sitting under the desk that's sitting there collecting dust for the past 20 years. Or
IMAP or
right.
whatever it is, your old style email servers.
You got some people out there that, for the love of me, they love the old freaking the tape drives and stuff like that. So you never know, they may have one of those at the house.
Hello.
I got an old coworker that probably would.
They are reliable.
They are reliable.
Magnetic media is reliable.
Yeah. My buddy Todd Piper, God rest his soul, he loved them down.
Put another magnet
deterioration. Over time, that will deteriorate.
Yeah, my buddy Todd Piper, God rest his soul, he used to love them tape drives. Holy crud.
He probably still has a lot of them.
He probably did. Yeah. Wouldn't doubt it. But the thing is, if you think about it, it's the only way that how much can you steal is microfiche. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
But it's like it's building out, the entrance and exit endpoints, and the thing is, you can like control that with like different ports and stuff like that, like secure FTP. Like you can only get into your intranet moving files is using secure FTP. If you want to move it to a server that had to deal with your printer is going to be on its own intranet. I'm gonna secure FTP that from one machine to another machine, and then that machine is only on a network that's technically, if I'm using network topology, if I VLAN it out, that VLAN doesn't connect to the internet. So I'm going to FTP it from one VLAN to another VLAN, because I can see into my intranet from the outside, at least from that PC. That's my bridge PC, and VLAN in, but I'm going to drop it in via secure FTP. Then everything's kind of kosher.
Essentially, it has to be on the local network.
Right, exactly.
And with that, with VLAN, you also are segmentating, which means that this portion of the network has an IP range, and this portion of the network has an IP range, which by default, they're isolated. So if I'm compromised in this IP range, there is a possibility, if I have everything configured VLAN-wise,
correctly,
if I have some firewall or some rules set up to say, hey, this is this area and this is this area, I separate the two things. So you can even go further with the segmentation, deeper.
Yeah, you can create a VLAN inside of a VLAN and stuff like that, and really start breaking it out.
It really depends on your bandwidth.
Right. Actually, no, not really.
No.
Because if you think about it, all you're doing is you're taking one stream of traffic and turning into the same stream of traffic. It's just going down two different pipes. So, like, I may have a laptop in one room that's taking this off my network. That's on this VLAN. I got another network that's on another PC in another room that's taking off the same network. Same VLAN, or two different VLANs. However, it's the same data entry. So it's like having two devices on the same pipe. So you're using the same amount of data.
Yeah.
And your data speeds aren't dictated based on a VLAN, right? Exactly.
It's based on machine instead of total,
right? Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, what is your capabilities of the VLAN?
So I do think we need to go back to John's original idea, because I think we kind of broke his train of thought.
Oh no,
just to go down that path.
No, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
He was hoping we were going to.
I wanted you to go deep and explain the segment. I like the segmentation and things like that.
Well, because that's the first layer. Like segmenting your network. Well, first, whatever you're connecting to the WL, the WLAN or the WLAN, whatever connects to the WLAN needs to be separate from the LAN.
Yeah, and please secure it and use and screen your files.
Firewall.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah,
firewall.
A lot of people don't.
Firewall, network, firewall, network. Not, hey, I'm gonna take this device. This is the one point of failure to corrupt my network.
Yeah.
At least make it to where somebody has to do some work or is knowledgeable enough to know that you have some entry points that could be compromised. There is no system, air-gapped, that will not have a security risk other than the system that is not connected to the internet.
Yeah, there are people who do run internal.
I was gonna say, no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but like, you're saying like there's never gonna be complete, absence of risk, because when you throw a human in there, you just do a monkey wrench.
That 1% is always going to cause the problem.
It's going to be user error, probably.
And even that's at a risk, because if you're not developing your own files to upload to said printer, you are taking the risk that somebody put a Trojan horse or put some block of code not in the file, but in the firmware on the actual USB that you're using to put into your device. So what I would advise everybody to do, if you get it from the intranet, scan it.
Mm-hmm.
Scan it.
Yeah.
And scan it again. And if you're not sure, maybe you get a donor system.
Installed on it.
Installed on a donor system. Hey, it's good there.
Off your network. Yeah, off your network.
Yeah, off your network. You have to get it to your network. Then you have to scan it.
Yeah.
Then you have to try it on your donor system. Yeah. And then, hey, it worked fine on here. Now you can
if you're going to make a donor system, please rip the Wi-Fi card of it.
Well, donor system.
If you have a donor system and you still install and it's still infection network because you didn't rip the Wi-Fi card out the darn thing.
So when we say donor system, I'm thinking Gen 1 3D printer. So I'm thinking the first Ender.
Technically, the last Ender is the same as the first Ender.
I don't want to.
Well, when I say the first Ender, the first version of the Ender that was released that did not have any access to the intranet
and
at all.
It's like also if you suspect
or Wi-Fi,
if you suspect you have a issue with an STL, and you suspect that STL having problems, you can open it up and read the G code. It's not rocket science, right? You know, if for some strange reason it says execute.exe in the G code, y'all, that's not real G code. You just downloaded something. That's
yeah, you're executing a different file. G code is geometric codes. It's the path your toolhead follows. Yeah, it's not a. Like it's its own file, but it's not an exe file.
Right.
So
and also there is at most of these platforms that you're getting these files, there are things to verify that it matches what they said it is.
Yeah.
If it says it's this size,
authenticity,
and you offload that to I would run in a virtual. If you're really like one of these insane people running around with a full hat. Then I would run in a virtual machine. And who cares if it destroys the virtual machine?
Ed doesn't want you to know he's got his foil hat on.
Oh, yeah. He's got hidden.
He brings it every day. Well, I mean, so kind of getting back to what kind of the original thing I was. Well, unless you wanted to keep going
you're talking about hash checking. It's checking the hash is through a hash checker that makes sure the hashes actually match.
Checks your algorithms and all that.
Right, but it's actually checking the digital fingerprint.
Yeah.
So it's making sure the digital fingerprint that you download and the actual fingerprint of what it's supposed to be there is correct. However, I'm going to throw this one back on everybody who's giving out STL files. You don't publish your hash. You don't publish what the hash is. So even if I did want to check it against a hash checker, I can't.
Yeah,
because you don't publish it.
And also, I think it depends on the rights, too, because some people want Creative Commons, some people...
It shouldn't matter. It should be whatever's stored on their PC, though. Yeah. On their network, it should be hashed. Yeah. As soon as you upload it, it gets a hash saying you've uploaded a true file.
Yeah, make it easier to, I guess, regulate that.
Right, it's a serial number.
That IP as well.
So it's a serial number. So I'm checking against that serial number to verify that serial number is valid.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to add the hash technology into your websites.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just do it. I get it. I'm a big fan of printables. A big thing of Thingiverse. If I'm looking for something I can't find or build myself, I go there. But the thing is, have some layer of, in there. A layer of, that'll make me feel better if I have that. If I'm downloading something, off there, hey, let me check the hash on it real quick. I understand you're giving me an STL file, so old as an image. However, the image can still have code in it that's not supposed to be right.
It can be compromised.
But the thing is, it's also you give me I'm checking the hash on it, and also you're checking the metadata. Tell me what the metadata is. Don't hide the metadata. That's what most of the time they're doing. If you expose the metadata, I'll tell you exactly what's going on with it.
Probably down into who made it.
Exactly, it will. It'll tell you the exact computer it came from.
And all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, So I just kind of wanted to get to, because I wanted to dig deeper, because we're talking about putting up and securing our own service, if we have to do cloud-based, or if not, we can kind of suggest other ways. But for me, I'm thinking, so we've started at the hobbyist level. Like, I just bought a printer, I connect to my network. What are the steps that I should do to secure my network? Of course, you should do, many other things. Ed over here is a cybersecurity guru. You should listen to the man. He's not, he brings his foil hat for a reason.
Encrypted thumb drives are great.
Yeah, right. It's
and not that expensive.
It's an authentic foil hat as well. I can't approve that. But the other thing is what if we step into a more industrial or commercial environment with lots of printers, lots of locations, maybe a couple printers at each location, or you have your entire shop floor is 3D printers. So these smaller issues that we've already talked about become larger issues. But of course, in a lot of industry, we've figured out some things about some ways around that, closed networks, Profinet cables and things like that. But those are similar to the ideas that you were just saying for your personal network.
So first thing, like I said, segmentation.
Yeah.
The first thing to any network, forget cybersecurity. All networks are built on segmentation. There is a limited amount of IP addresses we have that we use in a certain range. That range is, I'm gonna use these values, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna reuse them. To do that, I have to segment this area from that area. This area has to be independent of that area. The first thing with any printer is this area of printers is separate from this area of printers. Now, there is not one single point of failure.
I got one.
That is the key.
I got something for that though, and to kind of, I'm gonna really spin your head on this one, because it's something I would do honestly. Is I would do port-to-port communication. Each printer would have its own port to activate off of, so another printer can't take anything the other printer's doing. But it also means that I've only got certain ports open on my network. I have 1,000 ports to run off of. However, if I'm running a bank of 4 industrial, like Stratasys machines, for example, I only have open 4 ports in my network to take that data in.
And that's your firewall.
That's through the firewall.
So the firewall itself is the cop.
Right.
The segmentation is the plan that you come up with to verify and make sure that I have enough access for each of these areas, because I do not want to repeat. What is the worst thing you can do in a network? Something have the same IP address. Then you have collisions. Then collisions drop packets. Packets cause loss of communication. Then we have problems.
Lost data. Yeah.
That's why if you segment your network with firewall appliances, because you don't have to at that level. If we're just at the level where we're a print farm, we can go with firewall appliances as opposed to a full blown firewall. Yeah. However, there should be a Cisco or a Fortinet or something that's segmenting you from the actual WLAN.
Yeah.
You do not want the WLAN to be the thing that the bad guy comes into and compromise your system. So everything you said is correct with the ports.
Yeah.
If we're not using the ports, they should be closed.
Right.
If the ports are annotated technologies that we're using, FTP, no thank you.
Yep, secure it.
If it's not secure FTP, I don't want it. If it's not secure HTTP, I don't want it. It's not allowed.
It's either that, or the other thing is, if you're dealing with like a print farm, each bank in my print farm is going to be its own VLAN. So if I have enough space on my switch, each printer is going to be its own VLAN. It's the same data. It's just everything's. And then the thing is, I'm going to communicate to those PLC those devices via either a network interface or secure FTP. If they have their own interface, I'm going to work with my supplier to publish that interface over a certain port. Yeah. So all my printers will have different interface ports.
I think the port idea is...
So you won't have so not everything will be 443 or 444 or anything like, or 8080.
One more thing, that is the scene part of your network. So we can't be lazy. We also have to do monitoring. Yep. Whether we set up some type of thing to say, here are the here's the criteria we're looking for. If it's outside of this criteria, is abnormal. This is normal traffic. The 2 reasons for that: you want to know the health of your network. You want to know that traffic is good throughout your network. If I got this print that I'm trying to put on 10 or 20 machines, I don't want it to be good on 5 and the other 10 have a problem.
And now at the commercial level, the one thing that you can't forget about is physical security. You know, if everybody, Joe Schmo Schmuckatelli, and everybody, you know, in the gardener have access to your, you know, your the device that's loading your printers, some trouble. You know, if I'm using a RFID or CAC card for example, to communicate, unlock the PCs and stuff like that. And only certain people who have a CAT card, who have certain profile rights, have access to that PC. Now you've protected that PC down at the device level, at the asset level. So your asset, and the thing is also in all these other machines, especially if you're using a Stratasys or something like that, and you're going over the network to load your printer, whatever print you're going to print, please disable your network port, your USB port. You can go in the code and disable the darn thing. Just disable it. It's network security. It's physical security 101.
There's two parts of that, and I think we do need to let John get back to his.
Oh no, you're fine. You're already.
But no, I want you to get back to the point.
Yeah,
it's going to get us to another step. It's two portions to that. Nick is correct that you can. One, if you need to use that port can only be used by an encrypted USB stick.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Second, I can physically lock that particular USB with a physical device that keeps anything from being plugged into it. And most importantly, I can just disable that port so that it is not allowed to be used for that type of activity. And then, like I said, I want you to go a little further because I think we're going to get onto something if you go a little further.
Well, no, because I'm asking questions.
Secured.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah.
And once we secure the interface with an SSO and stuff like that, we've at least broken that.
So explain to them what an SSO is.
SSO is a single sign-on. A single sign-on is either a standalone security device, or it's a security device that's hooked up through your domain controller. It's using your domain controller authentication, using your DCA and stuff like that. You have to program that all in. Well, that's where you get your user accounts from. Then you go in there, you set up different codes and stuff like that. Using Keycloak is probably the easiest way. Getting into a SSO where you're not having a whole lot of overhead and you just fire the VM and go. And it's got 528-bit encryption or something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's pretty heavy duty encrypted service. For example, if you're using Clipper and stuff like that, you can tie it to it as a device that locks out your interface. So you have that ability. And it's everything. It is part of your single sign-on. If you log into your email and it says use Google, okay, you just followed a single sign-on. Now, if you really want to be more secure, you'll set that single sign-on up for 2FA, or two-factor authentication, where you'll have to use your a Google Authenticator or something similar to provide a second level of authentication to that machine.
And that's where the integrity come in the CIA. So integrity is saying that it's something I have and something I am. So I have a mobile device, or I have some type of USB that's encrypted, or it's also me. It's my fingerprint. It's my retina scan. It's something that cannot be replicated because it's unique to myself.
Right. So we jumped one little level deeper in the rabbit hole, and one of the key things that I think you talked about is the first thing was segmentation, but one of the beautiful things is that segmentation, it scales, so you can continue that on up, and then now here's like kind of the penultimate or the ultimate question really is, what if I want my cloud network to go across multiple plants and still be secure? I want to get my data out and in to each plant. I'm sending files from my plant to your plant to Nick's plant. How do I secure my network?
So we don't want to send from plant to plant. We don't want plant-to-plant communication.
Okay, so
like normally I'm gonna go to 4.0, Industry 4.0 for a little bit.
Okay.
So the way Industry 4.0 works is that I have a unified namespace. No, I'm not saying that security is, just trying to make a point. The unified namespace says, I am this zone, I am this area. I offload my data into this area. That data is normalized into this area. Then whoever needs to consume that data can consume that data. The same concept applies to security. I put it to a pool, and you pull the data that's only necessary for you, and you're only authorized to have the data that is pertinent to you in your plant. You do not get to pull data that's internal to another plant.
Right.
Not from this pool.
Or you have to request special access.
Well, you have to request special access.
And that's where you go through like the SSO process and stuff like that. That's also, I don't mind cloud communications. I really don't. I know I give Bamboo Lab shit. They earned it.
At a certain point, it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah, they kind of earned that one.
I mean,
but the thing is, I have an issue when you force me to use your cloud device to use my device.
Another topic.
Yeah,
stay focused. Stay focused.
Sorry. Squirrel. Is the thing is, if you're gonna use a cloud device, please firewall the living donkey out of the damn thing. Okay, because set it up where you know what port it's coming through, where it's communicating off of. Lock that darn thing down, like nobody's tomorrow.
And here's why I said one point of failure was bad. This is where one point of failure is good. If I need to pull the plug, I want to pull it on one port.
I want to shut the port down and go, okay. But the thing is now...
kill switch.
Kill switch.
Now, that's another thing. So if you're another plant wanting to consume...
Panic button.
From a central repository, that's when you would work through typical network protocol, and you would open up certain ports through your firewall, through the opposing firewall, central firewall, and then the local firewall to reach the data you need, and you're only able to access over that port. That port is not published out. It is only published to the device that you're going to. So I know, because how firewalls are configured, it's a to and from port.
Yep.
Or a to and to port, depending on how you're looking at it.
Port forwarding.
So, port forwarding, but it also looks at your network traffic. So pretty much I would lock that port down to only your IP address.
Yeah. And abnormal bandwidth would make it automatically know this is happening.
They do automatic lockout.
It's a smart device, so it knows if you're trying to access more bandwidth than is necessary to do
I'd lock you
basic communication. The device is configured to say no, thank you.
Yeah, if you know that if you're downloading a file that's say 300 kilobytes, so that I know that your bandwidth probably consumption is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 600 kilobytes, maybe a gig. I'd say gig at max. So I would lock you down at probably say 1.5 just to be on the safe side. Give you that extra half a gig to play left or right lateral limits here. So if you went over that on a poll, I already know that I'm going to shut the port down. Somebody may lock the port, and we're going to have a conversation of why did you use that much bandwidth. Then you have to think, oh, I don't know. But you'd have to figure out why before I open the port back up. So, but the thing is only that IP address, if that IP address gets compromised, you can no longer communicate to my system until we open back up that port.
And the important part you just said, explain to me why you were at normal. It is not my duty to tell you that you can come to the trough if you don't come to the trough with the right equipment.
Right, exactly.
You have no access to the trough if you're coming to the trough with 4 horses and you said you had 1.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Get a little extra bucket over there.
Yeah.
So, kind of to put it into, an example, I guess. So, I'm running a business, Champlain Enterprises, whatever. We're printing stuff, okay? We're printing automobiles. We're in the future, right? So, essentially what you're saying is if you want me to have a secured system, and I have multiple plants, building whatever vehicle, product, I should have a central repository, secured like you guys said. It's still segmented, even if it's a central repository. You still have one way in and one way out, and you also probably still have some pillars inside.
It's segmented inside the network, but the porting is controlled by your devices that allow the traffic across the network.
So then it has a port or some type
switch
of
itself,
switch
or the router or Gen 2 device that does both. It has been given rules to say this is where it's allowed, this is how much bandwidth I allow, and this is how I allow.
Exactly. So we have that. So what Nick you're saying is that if I've got 3 plants producing, and let's say they're making the same variant, right? The same product, but this one is in a certain place where the paint needs to be a different. It can be the same color, but it needs to be a different consistency because of whatever EPA, blah blah blah. So I should be able to check out my file of my product which, by the way, if you have it checked out, I think that none of the other plants should be allowed to check it out as well.
Basic document
so
control.
You don't avoid any conflicts of resaving.
Welcome to SharePoint.
Check it out, make your change, apply your change.
Yep.
If your change goes wrong, then we're back in your situation. Explain to me what happened. What did you do? What was your process? And where did it have an issue? Do you need assistance? Do we need more resources?
And it's one more portion of that is you have to have remediation in place. I have to have a way to get back.
Rollback.
I need a rollback plan.
You need a rollback plan,
yeah.
right? So what you're saying is, if I want a very secure system, I need to be segmented. I need to control my ins and outs. I need to control my ports and what forwards and all that stuff. What's leaving my network. And I can still make that cloud-based because that's a centralized location, but that can still be connected, through your intranet network.
There are certain IP addresses can reach to it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, cloud-based means that you're not the only client that has access to that cloud. So there's another level of security that has to be negotiated with whoever you're doing.
Unless you do a on-premise cloud environment.
Correct.
If you do an on-premise or self-hosted cloud environment, which we've seen those out there through Cisco, we've also seen them through who is it? Oracle.
Yeah. I would say on a small scale, that's viable, but a company that's say on a higher level, it's going to be different.
It's a little tougher
because it's going to be use AWS.
Because you have so many potential price points in each of those things that you're trying to get. It adds up, and don't forget, cloud-based is also usage.
Yeah,
it's usage.
Yeah. So the whole thing, I was just trying to get it into like some type of an example because that would be our picture of what it should look like. I also want to bring to the forefront that you don't have to do it yourself.
Yeah. No. Definitely not.
No. You don't need to do if you have a printer you built, or a product you built, and I'm just trying to keep all these things secure. You can, there is software as a service.
Yep.
So there is platform as a service.
Yep.
There is infrastructure as a service.
Yep.
So and also on all these levels, each company can add its own level of encryption as well. So
you have a lot of open source stuff, a lot of freemium out there. For example, when you start talking about like Keycloak, for example, Keycloak is a industrial SSO.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's free. It's open source. It's got open source licensing. It's actually developed by Red Hat. Mm-hmm. So Red Hat puts the Red Hat kernel behind it, and actually, builds it to their expectation of what they use inside their environment.
Can we explain a little bit to them what's the benefit of having open source? What is it? What happens, or what does it mean to have open source and to have closed source?
Without going too deep,
just
don't
real
open
simple,
the rabbit hole.
Real simple.
Without digging.
What is the core of open source?
Open source is anything that is free and free to use. And it is actually maintained by the community.
Exactly. That's it.
That's
simple
what
enough.
Looking for.
That's what we're looking for. It is maintained by security-minded people.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
People that want to keep their...
Security-minded people and people that vet the code because they are using said application.
Now, the thing is but let's sometimes not get it twisted when you start talking about open source. Because...
I'm not saying it's perfect.
Right. No, but the thing is, what I mean by not get it twisted is because... Open source, like a company can publish open source. So the company works on this, the company publishes this code for the community to use, and the community to ingest, and the community to work on. However, the company that owns the software, the code, is the ones that are doing all of the work behind it. For example, if you start talking about like Wildfly,
they're the owner. They are the owner.
Red Hat is the owner.
But I'm saying what you mean, what you're saying is, and I don't mean to cut you off. What you're saying is, because where we work, the same thing happens. There is applications and softwares that have been put inside of different cars. Those applications are being given to other people to play with. Hey, what can we do to make it better? Mm-hmm. Basically, what you're doing is you're cutting out the cost of having to do testing on it by having it open source.
Right. It's also open to the community. Yeah. But the community the community doesn't edit the code base. So they have the ability to. They can customize it. They have the code. The code is published. However, 95% of the time, the people aren't messing with it because of the fact that it's maintained by a reputable company. If it's maintained by Joe Schmuckatelli and Bob Lowe, you're gonna start messing with it a little bit.
If you want to do a pull request, then get your own copy.
Right, exactly. Please don't friggin' edit on master.
And the good thing about it, Nick, if you find a bug in the system, you can report it. You can send it to the company, and the company can verify. They're not just going to take your word that, hey, this is bad.
It has to be reproducible.
It has to be. Yep. I must be able to do it more than once to verify that this is an actual problem. I think that is the greatest benefit of open source.
Go take a look at GitHub, GitLabs.
So back to your idea before we get off in the rabbit hole. We don't want a little bit.
We can have a whole episode on open source.
Yeah, we'll have a whole episode.
I think we got one.
I think we do actually. Right.
But just back to your original thought that you was trying, the point you was trying to make.
You beat me to it.
Oh.
But
you done ruined it.
The thing is, well, no, you didn't beat me to it. You got a brain fart. But the thing is you got these guys out there. You have this free and open source software that's available to you. That's already there. You have free VPN available to you. You have, the Wildfly instances set up if you want to JVM all your stuff, if you felt like it, Dockerize it, whatever. Or if you really wanted to go through that, you can SSO everything because you've got a free SSO sitting right in front of you. That's one thing that shouldn't be taken for granted because it's available right there in your lap.
Yeah, there's a lot of security things that don't take a lot of. A lot of it ends up costing money because if you don't do it on the front end, what you lose.
You will do it on the back end.
Yeah, what you lose on the back end is going to be. Ask what was the fuel company that got ransomware attacked.
There's a few.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
you talk about BP.
The more recent one, I would say. Well, they shut them down. They paid $5 million.
They talking about the pipeline.
Yeah, they shut them down, and it cost them $5 million or whatever to get them up and running. Ransomware, fair for them. Fair.
It was something that they probably did not want to absorb, but I would argue that everybody's gotten smart since other companies have been attacked by WannaCry, which was not really effective, but. Everybody got the light came on and everybody got insurance.
Oh, they said nothing.
So $5 million, yes, it is something that for us is a lot of money. But it's trivial. It's 5 cents to us.
Well, the point that I'm making is that
it did stop the production.
The point that I'm making is that the ransomware attackers, they chose a number that was, you are going to have to pay more than this if you don't get this back from me. So you better just pay me, so I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, because the insurance company take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. So don't be the people getting caught by ransomware. It just takes one vulnerability and they're in, right? This is why you talked about it. If you're not doing scans monthly, weekly, I'd probably say you should probably do monthly because weekly would be a little much, unless you're moving through a lot. You just get the same on the report again.
Right.
But
or
you should
have
be doing
a SIEM in place that.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully you have a friend or somebody that can help you set up the SIEM to do the top blah 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 or the top 5. I think the real thing that we need to look at here is basically the hobbyist is the person that's the most at risk.
Yes.
I think mid-level up they have to have this in place to get money. They have to have some type of business plan. Mm-hmm. They have to have solutions, resolutions, so forth. So for the small person, the first thing, change your password and do not make it 1, 2, 3.
You can hide your Wi-Fi network.
You can.
Hiding it still doesn't. Anything that's Wi-Fi cannot be retained inside the walls unless you put shielding. That's the issue with Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is. There's some things I can do that's relatively simple to pretty much compromise most Wi-Fi systems.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's just the nature of Wi-Fi.
I'm just saying, you go out into the car, or if someone's trying to steal your car, and they open the garages, they don't see a car there because it's hidden. Okay, put the garage back down. There's nothing to see here.
They can do that, but I'm saying the first thing
it's not foolproof.
The first thing is be practical.
Cloak.
So practical things is no default password.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Not your date of birth. Nothing with your name in it. Make a password that is something that only you know first.
Yeah.
Second, let's be reasonable about what we're doing. If you're not a commercial level, if you're not printing on a commercial level, why is it necessary to have your printer connected outside? If you want a camera, that camera can be segmented away from your printer and be separate from your printer. Yeah. Do not make the Wi-Fi camera connected to the printer. I just want to see what the printer's doing. There's no need to connect the Wi-Fi camera to the printer. If all I want to do is see my print. That should be the only thing that a hobbyist is doing, is monitoring his print so he can cut it on and cut it off. And that, again, should be a separate area.
Yeah.
Not connected to the printer. Keep everything in compartments. Keep everything separate.
So
if
you
do that, your risks go down. The risks don't go away. It goes down. Because there are some guys that I know, Nick, that could get into your system regardless. So, I mean, just don't have nothing on there that's IP related.
And it's the thing is also, you brought up these businesses, they get money, they have to have plans in place. I will completely go against that topic.
Well, but if they want to get insurance.
If they want to get insurance.
The insurance companies are not going to give them anything.
But now, the thing is if you are a company, you are dealing with data, please get data insurance. For the love of God.
And
it's cheap.
Have a digital copy. Have a digital twin. Have something separate. Have a offloaded copy of your IP somewhere separate. Not on the premises, separate.
Yeah. And don't name it something freaking simple.
So we won't get into cold, warm, and hot sites. But if I have papers that I need for insurance claims with my house burned down, why in the world would I keep those in the house?
They're fireproof. What do you mean?
Yeah, to the night.
To the ash.
I was told they were fireproof.
But,
a couple $1,000 I don't get back now.
You bought that special binder when you bought it out.
Yeah, watch out for fishing.
Hey, what about that
another one?
What about that car I had from the 80s? It's no more, brother.
Talk about like the Pinto? Freaking get rear-ended, turned into a nuclear bomb on the side of the road. Yeah, one of those.
Well, yeah, I think.
But it's the thing is what we're trying to tell you with the cybersecurity stuff is don't do anything stupid. The best thing is be smarter than the network. If it seems funny, it probably is.
Yeah, and like when you go to your door and you unlock your door, do you just leave it open, like wide open, or do you like close it? And you have all your stuff in there.
And if somebody emails you an STL to print that says, "Print me,"
that's probably not a good idea.
That's probably not something you want to download.
Yeah, don't press the button.
Just saying.
Press the button.
Or if you get some type of alert because
go to Nick's house and print it on his printer.
Right. Well, because maybe you didn't have a chance or opportunity to do the things that we're talking about.
Yeah. But
if you receive some type of text or email or some type of communication say, hey, your system's been compromised, please don't restart the PC. Immediately unplug your PC or cut off your Wi-Fi at that moment.
Yeah.
At that moment, unplug, cut off the Wi-Fi.
They're in.
Because they want you to click on it for a reason.
Yeah.
It is to entice you. So social engineering is the biggest thing that you're going to face. So please be aware of scams. Reddit has a couple of threads that you can read for free. I would suggest going to Reddit and looking at some of the scams that are out there.
They are very, very thorough. Like it's like to a T. You can almost see, oh man, this looks legit. Like I really should do this until you have no money and
but normally
they disappeared.
Something will be off.
Gone.
Something will be off with whatever communication you get. It'll be in italics, or it'll have the wrong type. It'll have what we call Jinglish. It'll have someone's interpretation of what it's supposed to mean in English, or it'll be something as simple as, hey, you won $5,000. Hey, just send me your bank account and I'll put it in your account. If I won $5,000, why do I have to send you my bank account? Send the check to me.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorites. It's like, hey, I overpaid you. Oh, you're gonna have to send me back some of that money.
Click.
There are places in
you should have just sent me a check.
in the central part of Africa, things that are close to the east side of Africa. There are places in India that that is their business model. Is to catch they throw out a big net to catch the 1 or 2 fish that they can get and they empty your account. So it's not just 3D printing. Mm-hmm. It can also have a adverse effect on your finances.
Yeah, and they will call you about your cards.
Yeah, I think I've been doing that to myself, emptying my own accounts.
Yeah, well,
I'm the problem. Oh, so
that new subscription you got called House.com.
There's another 100 a day.
And the one that the whole I gotta run to Home Depot.
Thank God it's right there. It's like, oh man.
But now you have purpose. You once again have purpose.
Yeah, I got purpose. I'm at 7:00 when it was getting dark, shoveling the yard. I had purpose. I gotta clear this sidewalk, or I'm not gonna get fined. That's my purpose. And, pay $100, so I don't have to pay $300.
There you go. That's the thing. It's like we joke about all that, but same things with 3D printing. It's like because every incident can cost you another $100. If you own a house, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
It's so bad. Like I'm not just talking about just the house. The house has been nice. It's been good. It's something. It's growing. It's getting nicer. It's work that's fulfilling. But I can tell you one thing that's not fulfilling. It's losing all your data and getting 1,000,001 phone calls about your car's extended warranty and like having your identity stolen or God forbid somebody. Like all I think of is you said it earlier. Like I think actually last episode is like if me and you, Ed, are competing companies that build the same bicycle seat, and we're 3D printing this bicycle seat, right? And I have some way into your network to create a defect in your seats. I know about your defect. I can go on a marketing plan, and ours are better because watch what happens when you do this. And they're like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. It's because I've infiltrated your network and changed your IP.
I would give you even a worse doomsday scenario. Your IP is compromised in a mid-level to a major corporation that's 3D printing things. Mm-hmm. That IP ends up in China somewhere, and now you get forgeries, counterfeits, and the worst thing of all is poor quality. That is going to affect your brain.
Now you're on AliExpress and
so
Alibaba.
That if I don't want to be into politics or anything like that, and I'm not saying this way, but learn from Anheuser-Busch. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Now,
learn from what I say you're bringing.
I'll say this is I live by the motto of I'm going to spend 100 to keep 100. So I'm going to drop the 100 or how much it's going to cost me to secure my network, to secure what I use the most, to set up infrastructure that makes the data that I use on a daily basis for my printers, for what I'm doing at work, and what all that is secure, so I don't lose twice that amount later. Mm-hmm. I'd rather spend it now, make the money based off of IP and stuff like that, instead of lose it because somebody got on my network and bombed me, or stole my IP and then took me to court saying I violated their freaking patent because they patented it without me knowing it.
Yeah, if you have an idea, an original idea of an invention or something like that, and you don't patent it, that is a terrible idea. It is going to get stolen as soon as you put it on the internet. Mm-hmm. Just 100%.
Yep. Patent wars.
But there's people that are looking for things like that. Then they see your product and they're like, "Oh, is there a patent for that?" No, I'm going to make my own.
But also be aware that nation states know that STL is a entrance to abundance of devices, and they may stay dormant. Mm-hmm. They may stay, just collect data for a year or so, and they may use those 3D printers that's connected to the intranet because you connected the camera to your printer, which connects the camera to the internet, which connects the printer to the internet. So be aware that you could be one of the things that's compromising national security too. So it's a security issue too for everyone. It is a community security issue.
Yep.
Because the bad guys don't necessarily attack instant. They're in it for the long run. They're in it for the long haul.
Right. And, I think that kind of brings us to the end for this week.
Yeah, we kind of have to wrap it up or we'd be talking for 41 minutes.
And, the thing is I'm sure we'll look into the cybersecurity, part of it next week as well. We'll see what's going on. But, we just want y'all to be safe. If you have any questions, cybersecurity related, send it to us an email, put it on a chat someplace so we can see it. Let us know. We'll be more than happy to jump in and take a look. If it's anything that we can hop in on, look at it, let you know that, hey, guess what, that's not right. Please try this, or something like that. Let us know. We're not going to, bombard you with anything. Just, if you need our help, then let us know. We'll be more happy to help you. But I will say this, I say thank you, again and again and again. I can't say it too many times. We're at a little over 1,600 or so all-time listeners. I know it sounds like a little bit, but from where we started, it's actually a lot. And the thing is we're globally. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to get, talk to some of our industry partners and our industry friends that we've got, to bring those guys on and, get their opinions on a few things. So, I say thank you. And I'm going to pass off to the guys for the closing stuff.
So I would say we did forget one of the letters. We did forget authentication.
We talked about multi-factor.
But just real quick, that's the MFA part of it.
Yeah.
So I would just like to say we do appreciate all of the support again, all the listeners. I know I talked a little bit. I got a little long-winded today, but security is kind of one of my passions. And I do not want to see anybody get compromised, because if we do a few little housekeeping things, I think we can be as safe as we're going to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, the biggest thing for me is that, you said it before, if it's too good to be true, most of the time it is. If you're curious about how many times your network gets dinged, make a honeypot bot that's just listening. Not an actual, it's just listening. And see how many people and how many hits you get. I think I had a friend do one. He was getting 20,000 people trying to access his network daily. So that's 20,000 different attempts at your data, your identity, your finances, everything. So just keep that in mind. Is even if you don't think they're trying, they are trying. They're absolutely trying to get a quick buck off you. And yeah, I also echo these guys. I'm always very thankful. It's nice to have a platform, and it's also, if it helps even one person, it's worth it. So, very good feelings on those sides. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. We got a lot of good stuff coming in, and we'll talk more cybersecurity with you guys next week too.
There you go. See you later.
Take care.
That's all for this episode of Tech at Lunch. Thanks for tuning in and joining us for this tech-filled lunch break. We hope you enjoy the show, and don't forget to subscribe on all channels. And also, you can find us on YouTube under Vulcanar Technology Solutions. And join us for our next episode, which gets published every Wednesday at 8 a.m. All right, y'all. Have a good one. See you later.